Hi, Terry here from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I created these tags. I've used the Bonanza Buddies stamp set and coordinating Bonanza dies. I've also used some of the Birthday Bonanza Designer Series paper. So let's get started. This is the Bonanza Buddies stamp set, and I'm using the Let's Celebrate You sentiment, the koala, his face, the balloon and the hat stamps, as well as the balloon strings. I'll be stamping on some normal weight Whisper White card, and I'm going to use my Stamparatus. I keep my stamp case underneath the plate so my stamp remains level. This makes it easier to ink it up, and I'm going to use crumb cake ink. I only need to stamp it down once because I've just re-inked this ink pad. Then I can position the face and pick it up with the plate. Now I'm going to use the reverse side of my plate this time, just in case I mess up and I need to go again. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink this time, and I'll stamp it twice. I also need to stamp one Daffodil Delight balloon, one Bermuda Bay balloon, and also one in Poppy Parade. And then my party hat is also going to be in Poppy Parade. The balloon strings will be in Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm using a scrap piece of Poppy Parade cardstock to stamp the sentiment, and I'm doing this again in Memento Tuxedo black ink. And then I'm going to punch this out using the classic label punch. I'll use the coordinating die from the Bonanza die set to cut out my koala. Now we do have dies for both the balloon and the hat, but I find these to be a bit of a pain to line up, so I prefer to cut them out by hand. I'm going to use the tag die from the same set for all my other elements. Now I have again some normal weight Whisper White card here, and I'm going to cut 2 tags from it. Then I have 2 pieces of the Birthday Bonanza Designer Series paper, and I'll cut 1 tag from each. Now the blue paper will be for the front of my tag. Because I'm using paper, I want to reinforce this and make it a bit more stable because I'm going to raise it up, and I'm going to use one of the white tags for that. The other white tag will be used on the back so you can write your message. If you're going to use a cardstock layer on the front of the tag instead of the Designer Series paper layer, then you won't need that second white tag. The cardstock is strong enough on its own. The balloon strings have to be cut out by hand. Now obviously, because the lines of this are so skinny, it can be very fiddly. So I'm just showing you here a little tip to make this a bit easier. Now what I do is cut the inside pieces first, then you can hold on to the bulk of the cardstock so it's much more stable. And then once you've cut all those little pieces, you can do the side edges. I can now start building the tag. The first thing I'm going to do is to stick one of the white tags onto the reverse of the back panel. Now these need to go together back to back, so you've got the good sides outmost. And then I'll glue the remaining 2 tags together. And for these it doesn't matter which way round the white piece goes because it's not going to show. I'm using one of the stitched rectangle dies to cut a window from my front tag, and this is 1 size up from the smallest. You just want to ensure that the side edges and the bottom edge look even when you run this through. I'm now going to run some foam strips all around the reverse of the front tag. I've created these strips myself just by cutting the edges from my dimensional sheets. Now Stampin' Up do sell foam strips, but they're deeper. I think they're about 1/16 of an inch or 3mm, which is too deep for what I want. So that's why I've created my own. Then I can remove the backings from the strips and position the front of the tag onto the back. And I'm just lining up the side edges and the little hole at the top. The baker's twine I'm using for the top of the tag comes from the metallic baker's twine and sequins combo pack that we had recently as a free gift during our celebration promotion. I'm going to measure out about 25 centimetres, which is 10 inches. Then I'll fold the baker's twine in half to create a loop, thread the loop through the hole at the top of the tag, then push the ends of the twine through the loop and pull it tight. I've added some dimensionals onto the reverse of the sentiment just in the centre, and then I'm going to add some wet glue to each end before positioning it onto the front of my tag, and I'm just setting this a little up from the bottom of the tag. Then I can remove the backings from my dimensionals on the reverse of the koala and position him. I've already added a dimensional to the top of the hat, and I'm going to put some wet glue along the bottom edge. Then I can position this onto my koala. I'm also going to position the balloon strings with just a little wet glue, just on the edges. Then I can position the balloons. Now 2 of these will be glued flat, the Poppy Parade and the Daffodil Delight ones, but I'm going to set the Bermuda Bay one onto a dimensional. And then I'm going to add one of our assorted mini pom-poms to the top of the hat just to finish it off. And then finally, using a white jelly roll pen, I'm going to add some highlights to the balloons and the hat. And that's it, my tag's complete. Very quick, very simple to create. Now it's also very simple to create a shaker tag instead, and this is done in much the same way. The only real difference is before you add your foam strips to the reverse of the front panel, you want to cover the aperture that you've created with a small piece of acetate. And then when you add your foam strips, this will create a little well that will hold your sequins. And then here are my original tags that I showed you in the beginning. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.